Hey everyone, Asia B here, and today is my birthday, y'all. So I'm celebrating my birthday and I'm putting some content out there, okay? Um, so interesting because one thing that I asked myself, it was a very profound question, right? I asked myself, if God expresses itself through me, how would I celebrate my birthday? Because I was feeling just a teeny tiny melancholy, just for a moment. I really don't have a reason why. I just fell into that state. Remember, I talked about states in my last video. So, yeah, I fell into that state and I just asked myself, I was in there for just a little bit, but then I asked myself, if God expresses itself through me, how would God celebrate their birthday? It's birthday, whatever, And what came to me was just by simply being. And what that meant to me was simply being means to just use the power that you have. Just simply being whatever version of yourself you desire to be, whatever state you desire to be in, be that. Okay? So that's what that meant to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I celebrate myself by using my gift of imagination and embodying who I want to be, whatever that is. So right now, what I'm embodying is bombshell, of course, looking like a bombshell, feeling like a bombshell, hair, makeup, looks absolutely amazing. What is bombshell? It's basically a sexy woman. So funny because at first this shirt was not like this. I actually cut it. State of Bombshell had me cut this shirt to show a little, cleavage because it wasn't just not flattering. The way the shirt was made was not flattering my body. Okay. So again, State of Bombshell led me to show up this way, to cut my shirt and show up this way. Okay. What else? I'm embodying cherished woman, right? I received flowers for my birthday. I have balloons right here. I'm not going to show you all. I'll just grab one. But this is just one of them. I have balloons and you see my cards and stuff like that. So yeah, I've received texts and calls from loved ones and I'm just so happy. I actually just got off the phone with my aunt and we stayed on the phone for about an hour and I just enjoyed our conversation. Okay, so I was feeling seen. I've been feeling cherished. Okay, I received a gift yesterday from my grandparents, which felt absolutely amazing. I was just so happy. And what else? I stole another state from Offset from the Migos. I was watching like his set from Coachella. He was performing with Metro Boomin, and I heard, he was performing Bad and Bougie, and Young Rich and Bougie came up. I was like, I want to play with that. I want to embody that feeling of what it feels like to be young, rich, and bougie. Okay, that's like a Facebook name I used to have back in the day. Asia So Bougie, because I'm absolutely bougie. But yeah. So I'm just embodying those different flavors. I'm embodying loving woman, loving a playful woman. Like so many states of being. And remember I told you guys that we embody an infinite amount of states. We can embody an infinite amount of states. So don't be afraid to play with whatever it is that you want to play with, to show up as who you want to show up as. I'm not waiting for circumstances to change in order for me to show up as that person. So what I really wanted to talk about today is how to unlock your prosperity. And what is prosperity? It's just basically riches, being rich in health, relationships, love, feeling good about yourself, health. Did I mention health? Being prosperous in all of those areas. You're flourishing. And since I'm a woman, I'm assuming like all women watch my channel. So in order to be a prosperous woman, you have to identify yourself as that version of yourself. how can I identify, or how can I identify as that version of myself, Asia? That's what you're probably asking me. And, or that's what you're probably saying right now. And one way you can do that is just by this one simple question. Just ponder on this question. Before I get into that, I just want to say, like, if you've ever listened to Abraham Hicks, she talks about, all you have to do is just ponder on a second. Not a second. Ponder on a thought for 60 seconds and you will raise your vibration, which basically means, in other terms, you will step into a new state or a new version of yourself. So you can ponder on this simple thought to expand your awareness, which is, how would my day be different if I was, or not if, but how would my day be different as a prosperous woman? And this is something that I got from my mentor. Okay. He will always ask these questions like, how would this be different? How would that be different? What would this be like if, you were already your ideal? Like Neville says, what would it imply that your wish is fulfilled? So what is your wish? To be a prosperous person, a woman, whatever you are, whatever you are watching this. Your wish is to be that prosperous version of yourself. So what would it imply that you are already that version of yourself? What will your day be like? How would your mornings be? So for me, when I've asked myself these questions, what would have came up, like, as far as my mornings, was, I would move slower. I would take my time. I would savor in my day. I would take my time doing my makeup, take my time bathing myself. I would take my time, putting on my clothes and lathering myself in oils. Okay. I would take my time doing that. I would savor in my breakfast, whatever it is that I'm eating in the morning. If I'm having steak, savoring that. Cooking, I'm savoring in that. I'm savoring in those moments. But that's just how, that's what prosperity looks like for me in the morning. It may look different for you, okay? When I used to read tarot, I used to ask my clients these questions. Like, I didn't even know what I was doing back then, but I used to ask them these questions way before I met my mentor, way before I was into like Neville Goddard. I would ask them like, okay, so what do you want your mornings to be like? What would you want your mornings to be like? And we would just start off by the mornings, because the mornings is just like how you start your day, okay? And it determines how you feel throughout your day. Not always the case, but in that sense, right? When I was doing those tarot readings, because I was working with very high functioning women, they would call in psychology, maybe. Women who are just like overly anxious. They're always like on the go, always got to get things done. They never took their time to do anything for themselves. They were just always overextending themselves for people and their kids and so forth. So I would just be like, how would your mornings be? Okay. And they were like, because their awareness was stuck in just being the woman, the hustler, right? So they'll say something. I'm like, I'll come back with something like, what about this? How does this sound? How does having a slow morning sound? How does, dancing and lighting your candles and your incense sound? They would be like, yeah, but they would never pretty much do it because they weren't embodied in that version of themselves. I wouldn't teach them how to embody that version of themselves because I didn't know how to embody that version of myself. I would just do it. And it led to like burnout, it led to burnout. Like doing my practices led to burnout. Why? Because I wasn't actually embodied in that version of myself. Okay. It's something that happens in our bodies when we use the power of our awareness, which is our consciousness, to shift our thoughts to be, or our state of being to be something else. It's like we naturally show up as that person. Okay. So what I mean by that is, let's say you want to be a prosperous person. As soon as you start focusing on what would my morning be like as a prosperous woman, you will automatically start showing up as that. Again, like I mentioned in the last video, that's when the magic starts to happen. You don't have to think twice about showing up as that version of yourself. It just naturally happens, okay? So that's why I say you don't have to do all the exhausting work like saying affirmations all day or listening to subliminals or scripting in your journal. That's cool, because I've heard people say like that gets you into the state, but does it really? Does it really get you into the state? Not necessarily. You have to move into that state in order to just naturally do the things that that person does. Because here's what people do. They will script and say their affirmations as if it has not already happened. But if you use what I'm teaching in this video to like ask yourself, we're speaking in the sense of becoming a prosperous woman, by asking yourself, how would my mornings be different? You're already, how will my mornings be different as a prosperous woman? You are already acting as if you are already placing in yourself in that consciousness as if you are already that version of yourself, versus doing affirmations and saying subliminals. You're doing it because you're like, I want to be this person, not I am already this person, okay? And you can say I am this all day, but you're still, in the back of your mind, you're still doing it because I want to become that person, versus taking a moment to just ponder on who do I desire to be. You naturally place your consciousness there, right? And your consciousness is not just your mind. It's everything. It's your body. You naturally place your body there. Just close your eyes and take a deep breath. How are my mornings different as a prosperous woman? And just listen to what comes up. And just savor in those thoughts and those feelings, okay? Like I mentioned for myself, when I placed myself in that state by asking myself those questions, I was just like, I would savor in my morning. I would go slow. My morning, it's like, I wasn't coming up with these things. It was my spirit or the God in me saying these things to me, okay? So, yeah, don't do the affirmations because you're basically telling yourself, I'm not already that person. I'm just doing it so I can become this person. Versus what I'm teaching you is to already step into that version of yourself as if you were already there. Okay? That is the secret here. You have to step into that version. That is something that I used to get like wrong when I first started on my manifestation journey. I was doing all these things to get somewhere, right? So if I wanted to be a sensual goddess, what I would do is, I got to do this to be a sensual goddess. I got to do that, right? And that would lead to burnout and stress and like, I don't feel like doing this. Versus if I'm already that woman, I naturally do these things. I naturally buy myself flowers. I naturally take, really nice baths with flowers and essential oils. Okay? I naturally do those things. It's not something that I have to think twice about. Okay? So that is what I wanted to share with you all for today. Remember, if you want to unlock your prosperity, you must step into that version of yourself that has prosperity. And just start off with a simple question. What would it be like? What would my mornings be like as a prosperous woman? And just savor in those thoughts. Just listen to what comes up. Listen to the answer. Just sit there and listen. And maybe you can write it down, to just remember. And here's another thing. You have to stay persistent in this. You just can't do this one time and be like, oh, well, because it is, remember, you can easily fall out of a state. Your state will easily get contaminated by something in the 3D world, okay, by a circumstance, you know, by something you hear, but you have to remain, or what Neville would say, what is your dwelling place? Dwell back into that place of prosperous woman and see how that feels, or, you know, just savoring how that feels, or sit in that, lean into that, okay? So that is it for today. I love you all, and I'm about to go finish celebrating myself and my birthday.